Hello and welcome to the channel. This is CBSE Class 9 English Language and Literature Lesson 5, A Legend of the Northland. The poem A Legend of the Northland tells a story from a cold region called the Northland, where days are short and nights are long in winter. People use their reindeer to pull sledges in the snow, and children wear furry clothes that make them look like bear cubs. The poem narrates a tale about Saint Peter, who once visited a cottage where an old woman was baking cakes. He was hungry and asked for a single cake. The woman, being greedy, kept making smaller and smaller cakes, thinking each was too big to give away. Finally, she made a tiny wafer-thin cake, but still refused to give it to Saint Peter. Angered by his selfishness, Saint Peter cursed her to become a woodpecker, a bird that must work hard to bore into wood for food. She transformed into a woodpecker with a red cap and her clothes turned black. Now she lives in the trees, boring for food as a lesson against greed. The poem A Legend of the Northland by Fauve Cary is a ballad, a type of folk song that tells a story in short stanzas, passed down through generations. It is set in the Northland, a cold, snowy region where the days are very short and the winter nights are so long that people can't sleep through them. In this harsh environment, people use swift reindeer to pull sledges through the snow, and children wear thick, furry clothes that make them look like bear cubs. The poem introduces a curious tale which the narrator says may not be true but carries an important moral lesson about greed and kindness. The story begins with Saint Peter, a holy figure who once walked the earth preaching to people. While traveling, he arrives at a cottage where an old woman is busy baking cakes on her hearth. Saint Peter, exhausted and hungry from fasting all day, politely asks her for just one cake from her large store. The woman, however, is extremely greedy and unwilling to share. She looks at her cakes and decides that even the smallest one is too large to give away. To avoid giving him a full-sized cake, she needs a new one, making it much smaller. But when she sees it baking, she still thinks it's too big to part with. Determined to give as little as possible, she makes another cake, even smaller than the last. Yet, when she checks it, she feels it's still too large to give away. Finally, she takes a tiny scrap of dough, rolls it as thin as a wafer, and bakes it. Even this tiny cake she refuses to give to Saint Peter, saying that the cakes seem small when she eats them herself, but too large to share with others. She selfishly puts all the cakes on herself, refusing to help the hungry saint. Saint Peter, tired and faint from hunger, becomes angry at her selfishness. He declares that she is too greedy to deserve a human life with food, shelter, and warmth. As a punishment, he curses her to become a woodpecker, a bird that must work hard by boring into hard, dry wood to find food. Instantly, the woman transforms into a woodpecker and flies out through the chimney without a word. Her clothes burn black in the process, except for a scarlet cap on her head, which remains unchanged. The poem concludes by saying that even today, schoolboys in the Northland see this woodpecker in the woods, tirelessly boring into trees for food. The story teaches a lesson about the consequences of greed and the importance of kindness and generosity.